This is Hunt Nebraska, the official podcast for insight into Nebraska's hunting and shooting sports community. Be sure to give us a follow on Facebook, our space for sharing stories, information, tips, and techniques. Now, Hunt Nebraska.
And welcome back, guys. Another Hunt Nebraska hangout. We appreciate you guys listening to us on whatever podcast platform you're catching us on, or maybe viewing us on YouTube. Again, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you know when we come, drop a new episode each and every week as often as we possibly can. He's Jeff Jackson. I'm Hershey. Kayla, super producer Kayla over there, making things happen, all with the Nebraska Game and Parks Commission. And we got a lot of ground to cover.
Well, yeah, we have a lot to cover.
We just barely squeezed in a short podcast just a few days back that just barely went a half hour. I think you and I were late to a meeting because of it, but we made it happen. Now we are recording this, folks, right in the middle, the proverbial middle of the popular November rifle deer season, and hope to get this out so everyone can hear it before the end of it. So we got to talk a little bit about field reports, because obviously everybody wants to know, hey, this is what I saw. What did you see? I mean, that's probably the most commonly asked question this time of the year, right?
Yep.
What did you see out there in the field? You have success? Did you get one? Or like they say, did you catch any?
Did you catch any deer?
But hey, well, let's see. You guys all were out deer hunting, right?
Yep.
All right, we're going to go around. We're going to go clockwise. Kayla, what was it like? What did you see?
What was it like? Stressful.
Isn't it amazing how stressful fun can be at times?
Did you learn some valuable lessons, though, on this deer season?
Heck yeah.
Can you share them with us?
So trust your instincts and your gut is all I'm going to say to sum this story up.
Yeah, that's a smart way to sum it up, if you ask me. Yep, that's a good point.
You got to fill us listeners in on this a little bit. What do you mean here? They're talking in code.
No more explanations
Keep
needed.
it very, very vague.
Trust your gut.
Hey, you're on the podcast. You got to relive some stressful moments.
So it was the first day, sitting out there, cold. I didn't pack enough layers. I was freezing. So it was about 10 o'clock, and I was shivering for the third hour in the row, and I was just going to pack it up and leave. And I had told myself, I'm going to sit here till 10:30. So 10:15 comes around, and I was like, there's no deer. Haven't seen anything in the past 2 hours. I'm just going to leave. So I get up, get out of my blind. Well, I'll take my rifle, I guess, just in case. So I get out of my blind, and there's a tree right behind my blind. So I do my due diligence, water the tree, thank it for its cover.
All right, yeah. Okay, we've all been there.
Come back around to get all my gear from my blind so I can leave. And standing, so where I'm at, it's kind of at the top of a hill, and then there's a little saddle, and then there's another hill at the top. So at the top of the other hill is this massive buck. I've never seen this buck this big before. And I mean, I just was like in awe. So maybe that has a little bit more.
Happened? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So in my mind, there's no way I was going to get into this blind, get set up before he's out of there. So I kneel next to my blind, and I shake, and I'm so excited.
I'd be shaking.
And so I aim, and I shoot. And he just stands there. Nothing happens.
When they're not hit, they do that.
Yeah, exactly. So earlier, I got this new rangefinder, and I had ranged it out, and the tree that he was standing by, my rangefinder didn't pick it up. But the ground right in front of it, it had picked it up about 108, 110 yards.
Okay.
So
110 yards.
that is about where my gun is.
Shot,
Sighted in at 100 yards. Should have been a beautiful shot. Should have just dropped. So I was like, well, maybe I aimed a little low because he's a little further than 100. So I aimed maybe an inch and a half higher. Bolted. And so I was like, he didn't act injured. He just ran. So I gave him about 20 minutes. Maybe I did a gut shot. I didn't know what happened. So I went up there, no blood, nothing. Turned around, used my rangefinder, 205 yards.
Ooh.
Yep, tickled the grass at his feet, to say the least.
Yeah.
That's a big discrepancy.
Yeah, I was a little upset. But it happens.
And that's one of the things with technology. We come to rely on those a lot. I've got a rangefinder I just love. But every once in a while, it catches that branch that you don't see or that grass in front of you or something like that, or you don't realize what I'm seeing is not exactly where it measures from. That might be an inch or two below.
Before people say, you just missed. Now, you're a UNL rifle team champion, right? I mean, you shot on the UNL rifle team, so you don't miss often.
All of my deer have been one-shot wonders. I've hit them one shot. They've gone maybe 10, 15 yards and dropped. Hit heart shots every time.
You hit them and they wonder what hit them. Yeah,
exactly.
I get it. So yeah, I don't think you miss very often. So this is that. Well, it's too bad. That's too bad. I'd love to try to one up you about, you are a marvelous deer hunter compared to my weekend because I didn't see a deer. The other 5 guys I was with didn't see a deer. Now the 6th guy that I was with did see a deer. So that was cool. And so we're gonna change the game plan up a little bit for this next weekend.
Well, good. We'll get into that here in just a bit as far as maybe some different strategies for the second weekend or late season. Even hunting continues after the rifle season's over. We've got some opportunities. So did you get back out, Kayla? Did you make it back out Sunday, or was that just kind of it's amazing how exciting deer hunting can be, all from 0 to, oh boy, and then sometimes back down, where you get that almost gut punch feel. We've all been there. That's part of being a hunter, I think. You've got to experience that from time to time. But the good news is that you missed them clean.
Missed them clean.
Because there's only one thing I always tell people worse than hitting a deer or missing a deer, and that's hitting them in the wrong spot.
That was my worst fear. When I went up there, I was afraid I was going to see green or I was going to just... Nothing good.
But you followed the shot. That's a big part of it as well. So, but you get back out after that?
I did. I unfortunately didn't make it out until Sunday night. I was celebrating a birthday for the Marine Corps, but...
oh, that's right. You've got a husband connected to that.
I do.
That's good. That's awesome.
Yeah,
very cool.
Was the birthday November the 10th for the Marines? Is that right? Or is it the 12th? It's right around Veterans Day, I know.
It's the 10th, I believe. I'm not for sure, though.
I think so.
You're just celebrating it. You don't know the day. You're just celebrating
Now,
it.
you got back out Monday.
Yep.
Correct? And you got to play with at least a deer, it looked like, according to the Snapchat.
Yep.
Walk us through that.
So I've seen this little itty-bitty buck on my trail cameras before. He's nothing special, maybe a 2x1. If it's a good day.
He's an odd deer.
Yeah.
He's an odd deer. We'll go there.
So I've seen him on my first day. He came trotting through. I barely even saw him. He just came zooming through, in and out. But then on Monday, he came through again, trailing a doe that had gone by about half an hour earlier. And he came through, and I wasn't going to shoot him. And so I was like, well, I'll just, I got this can. The can call. And I'm skeptical if it works because it sounds nothing like I've ever heard a doe sound like before. So I used the can and didn't phase him at all. So I went back to the rusty, trusty mouth call and gave him some doe bleats and perked up, came over to me a little bit, and then left. And I gave another doe call, and he jumped the fence back and came wandering over. And, yeah.
Oh, that is cool. I don't have a lot of success oftentimes with deer vocalizations. A little bit here and there, but that's about as best as I'd ever.
I think he was just wandering around. He heard something that sounded like a deer, and so it was just kind of.
Might as well check it out.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, that's pretty cool. Jackson.
Yep.
All right, give us the lowdown, Jeff. You kind of shot through your weekend pretty fast.
I got more to say. We're going in alphabetical order here. Or how are we doing this? Because I thought I was next.
You were, and then you jumped ahead of Kayla somehow,
so
and then back to Kayla. Yeah. So you've already taken that first shot.
So I saw no deer, but I did.
But you got more to add.
I got more to add because I was a heck of a camp chef. There were probably a few cigars toasted over the weekend, but a heck of a camp chef. And I mean, I would be honest with you.
What was your premier dish?
Beer brats.
Ooh.
Now, I know you look at that and go, "That's an easy dish." Not the way I make it. You got onions and peppers and potatoes and mushrooms and carrots and the brats, and then we had a little bit of deer brats to go with it. And oh my gosh, a can of beer, and it was just you put the beer in there and steam it all in. Oh my gosh, it's delicious. And so and seasoning, you gotta have the right seasoning for this thing too. Those steam cookers come out. A lot of times they're not a lot of seasoning and they don't have kind of a bland taste. Yep. Little garlic pepper seasoning. Oh my word, it was delicious. So that was the highlight. But I'm gonna tell you, it was a good highlight. It was a very good highlight.
Nice. What was your backup meal?
We went out to eat one night. We went out into town there and had food. So in Table Rock. So that was our backup meal. And outside of that, really had nothing. It'd have been chips and crackers and some jerky.
We always enjoy going into town and trying some local
we do.
cafes.
We're travel for deer hunting. We always try to eat out at least one night, maybe even more. Yep. We enjoy the cookouts, right? The campfire and all that. So we want to be there for that. And we had epic campfires, several epic campfires. But sometimes it's nice to go into town and see what's going on in the world and get a steak or something like that. So we enjoy that too.
Yeah, definitely.
Food is a big part of hunt.
It's a big part of the hunt.
Is oftentimes, like you said, those small town cafes, some amazing food you can discover.
Even if you're seeing deer, if you're starving, that's for me anyways.
I've never felt that.
I don't know if you guys know this.
I've never felt that on a hunt, but I can imagine, I suppose, what it might be like. But no, we eat good.
All right. Anything else you want to report?
You may proceed.
Okay. All right, Jackson, because I know you and Katie spent a good amount of time out there.
Yeah, really, our story starts Friday. I in the wind, and it was very windy on Friday. So that afternoon, I decided to go out and make sure that the blinds were still intact.
In town.
We had put out 2 of them, one for my father and his friend, and then one for me and Katie. And from the road, I should be able to see one tucked back in a corner, and it was not there.
Oh.
So it had blown completely up and over the hill to the southeast. That strong northwest wind. So it went way southeast over the hill into the creek bottom, busted one of the hubs.
Oh,
yep. But reached out to their customer service. They're excellent. So anyways, but it was not here by this weekend. So so me and Katie had a spot on Saturday morning. Unfortunately, my dad hurt his shoulder, so he didn't come out Saturday because one of that and also the blind. So it was kind of a double whammy. That
it's starting out good, Jackson. I'm not going to lie to you.
How did that conversation go with your dad? Dad, sorry, you're blind. Remember that?
Yeah.
Had a great spot, blew away.
It's gone.
Yeah. And I'm not going to get it replaced by tomorrow morning, so why don't you just sleep in? Is that how that went, or was he going to hunt that one to begin with?
That's like his spot. Yeah. Okay. Unfortunately, it was like that's his spot that he likes. It was his spot, right? So he didn't get his blind out beforehand, so he still had his blind back at home. So
this is your blind you put out for him.
Yeah, I put out. Oh yeah.
I wouldn't feel bad about that then.
No, it was. These are both my blinds, but it was his spot.
I feel bad about that part.
Right. Yep. So, anyways, he did not make it out, but he got out after dark on Saturday and put his blind out for Sunday. So, anyways, it was good. We did see deer right from first light. Had does and fawns and this one little buck. He was a 2x1. So yep. And he was just bebopping all over. We saw him all weekend. No matter where we went, he was checking it out. So there's been one big buck that we were after. He spotted him Thursday while I was bow hunting. I had some opportunities, some encounters with him while bow hunting. He was definitely the one we were after. Unfortunately, we saw him Sunday. My father saw him. Me and Katie made a little cedar ground blind that afternoon, and about 45 minutes before sunset, we hear a shot in one of the neighbors, and we went over afterwards, and sure enough, he'd gotten lucky, and he'd crossed the fence, and there he was. Yep. So I hadn't met that neighbor before, so we had a conversation. His wife was there, his 2 daughters. One of his daughters was with him when they shot it. So it was cool. He was cool. Yep, super nice guy, good family, and so we, it wasn't the end of the world. That's hunting. It wasn't my deer.
The deer belonged to everybody.
Exactly. Yep, it wasn't my deer. So, I gave him my whole story, and he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and I'm like, "Nah, that's hunting. You shouldn't feel sorry in the least." So that's just hunting. So, like I said, saw deer, quite a few does and fawns, and we'll be back out Thursday morning and potentially Sunday.
Now, did you make it out We No, you were in the office.
Nope. We were in the office.
I do remember getting a Snapchat, folks, of one sleeping wife and a question about whether or not you should wake her up as this deer walks past.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I sent out a poll to the masses.
And we said, do not wake her up. That was the consensus.
Folks, and knowing, having hunted with my wife, I knew I best leave that up to Kayla and Julia and any of the other females that were a part of that poll, because it's one of those things that I don't know that there was a correct answer.
Yeah.
I can tell you probably not showing her that video after she wakes up would probably be a smart move. I know that. Yep.
You thought it was a trap. I could tell right away you were not playing.
No, I just think,
that was probably the smartest answer of all. Yeah. He's like, I'm going to defer to the ladies.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, Jeff, if you get a
free, I'll tell you what to do.
Free lottery ticket, you scratch it, right? Just to see if you win. But if the options are lose or lose, you don't touch it. You just kind of like, there's no way to win this one. So.
I understand. Even then, some of us can't.
For the record, I did wake her up. She
you did. And how'd that go?
I did. It was she wants to see deer. She wants to see what's going on. So yep. I even asked
her.
I
was like, she say was
so
right?
Wait a sec. You took the poll. The poll said no.
No, actually, it was about 50-50.
You went against the poll.
No, the poll was about 50-50.
Oh, really?
The swing vote was her mom.
Oh, she said wake her up.
Swing vote was Katie's mom.
This was a bigger sample size than I realized.
Oh yeah, it was not just the This was.
You know what's good for you. Wake her up.
I'm a statistics guy, so
that's good.
I wanted a good sample,
And you should definitely weigh her mom's suggestion pretty heavily to begin with,
because you can blame her.
You can say, why'd you wake me up? Well, your mom says I was supposed to.
Yeah, I didn't agree either, but it's your mom. So yeah, no, you can blame her. That's smart.
And don't argue with your mother-in-law. You lose on that one
every time.
You should never argue with your mother-in-law, regardless of win or lose. You should never argue with your mother-in-law.
There is no win with that. I mean.
Shouldn't be trying to win.
People are getting deer hunting advice and marital advice right here. How about this?
Well, we are kind of a full package here. I'm going to be honest with you. Yeah,
well, if nothing else, Hunt Nebraska and hunting by its nature has made their solve problems.
Well, I can tell you right now that if you're deer hunting with your spouse or hunting in general, there are some times where it gets testy. Saturday morning, we had a little testy moment. So it's it's how you handle it.
You recovered. I can see you recovered from it.
Katie is not a morning person.
Are we all wanting to know what the testy moment was? Are we all kind of
okay?
Yes.
All right. So
oh boy. Thank goodness this isn't going out live.
Yeah.
We might have to edit this one out.
So Katie's got heated insoles in her boots.
That would be testy right there. That'd drive me nuts.
Well, you gotta take them out. You gotta charge them, and then you've got to have a remote for them. Okay. So I get everything loaded up. We're driving out of the neighborhood, and Katie goes, "You got the remote, right?" Why in the heck would I have the remote?
For your socks.
Yeah, for your insoles.
That's the wrong answer.
That was the wrong answer. Yeah.
Well, I don't have it, but I will go home and look for it. That'd be the right answer. But anyway, so you did not have the remote.
I did not have the remote. Luckily, we were only a couple blocks away, and so
now you know it's your job to have the remote. See, it's good to know those things. Now you know.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Add that to my list.
A universal. That's what you need. A backup. I bet they make them.
Yeah, I'd buy two.
And folks, we can start our own informal poll right here. Whether or not Jackson should have told the heated insole story, you can comment down below.
Yep. Let us know. Did I screw up?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I will say back to the whole thing of whether or not you should have woken her up to show her the deer. It was one that you probably weren't going to take a shot at anyway.
No, yeah, we had discussed and decided what we were going to shoot that first opening weekend, and I knew that deer was safe regardless if I woke her up or not.
There you go.
Yeah.
But the absolute worst scenario is waking her up when you shoot that nice buck that comes walking by.
Yes.
That's extreme. That's like double loss.
That would have been very poor. Yeah.
It would have been couch night.
Bad. Yeah.
It'd require counseling.
Yeah.
I'm sure after that one.
So, yeah. Especially since I didn't have a gun, so I would have had to have taken her gun.
Oh,
her new gun.
Her new gun, yeah.
That might have been a complete fault there.
That would actually be a huge faux pas, because, like Kayla said, it's a brand new gun. It has not shot a deer yet, so
you can't drive back to the house to get that one. No, you're in trouble.
I would not have been coming back from that one.
No, I think it would have been like, all I remember saying is your rifle does work deer. And all of a sudden, I wake up in the hospital. Yeah. I mean, we're here. That's the last moment I remember.
Some people sleepwalk. You sleep shoot. And you did a good job. Yeah. There's no coming back from that. Well, that was exciting.
So you guys are all heading out this weekend, right?
Yep.
What are you going to vary up? I mean, what are you going to do perhaps differently than you did, if anything, over the first weekend? Jeff, we'll jump in with you since
I'm going to wear a lighter.
Because I know you're going. You're going to completely different into the state.
Well, we're going to mix things up a little bit, and by mix things up, we're heading up to the Pine Ridge, and so we try to do that every year or every other year. Last year we went up there. This year we're going up there again, and so we're going to change species. We're going to change location. We're going to change everything. New deer, new new town, new everything.
Same gun?
Yes, same gun. Yep, we're taking the same gun. It'll be
maybe it is the gun. That's
a contender pistol and .358. So that's a good one. And then a revolver of some flavor. But anyway, totally different type of hunting. So there'll be a lot of change up, but not to be specifically different than what we were. I think location is going to be very important here. But one of the things we're going to change up a little bit is we're specifically going to be hunting those big black timber bucks. Those big dark timber there, that big black dark timber up in the Pine Ridge. And I've learned a lot over the years, but you can go after them in that timber, but that is a low percentage hunt going after them in that timber. Yep. Trails everywhere, elk trails, fire trails, deer trails. And so what we're going to try to do is intercept them on the outside, just on the edge of that timber into some alfalfa fields. And if you know that country up there, alfalfa is like gold because there's not a lot of it. And so that's going to be part of our strategy. The agriculture in the area is going to work into our strategy, hopefully quite a bit.
As dry as it's been, I got to imagine anything that has a little green in it.
Yeah.
Got to be good.
And from what I understand from talking with folks up in the area, the alfalfa is still fairly green. So we're banking on the fact that this particular alfalfa might have some green to it. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll find out. What about you, Jackson? What do you do differently?
To be quite honest, I don't know if I'm going to do much differently. I think our target might change after what we're going after. Yeah.
Changing. All right. It might be more antlerless or.
Yes. Yeah. We've got some doe tags that we're probably going to try to fill.
Or less than 200 inches now is on the menu.
It doesn't forget the remote. That'll be different.
Yeah, won't forget the remote.
I bet that's packed Friday night. I bet that's right on the
I bet it's
dash.
in the truck right now.
Boy.
But no, as far as strategy goes, we did see quite a few deer, and I think we're just going to do the same and
stay the course.
Yep, stay the course.
Where those does are, the bucks sooner or later are going to be cruising through.
That's what we're banking on. Yep.
I mean, it's one thing to see a doe or two does maybe walking through, but it's another. If you see that many, something's got to be visiting that sooner than later. Yep. Just a matter of you being there when it happens.
He's probably there right now.
Yeah.
Don't stop. Yeah.
We don't want another apple left homeless.
The last time he got that call, he dropped everything right on the floor and ran. It was just like a cartoon.
Be a lot of editing right there to put Jackson back in. Boy, that's one of the interesting things. That some people do kind of change their strategies, and I don't know here in the state of Nebraska because of the timing of our November rifle season and the way that most people go about doing it. That's sitting and waiting. It's not the most intrusive at times. Now, just more people in the woods. Yep, the deer are going to have a react to that. But the same token, it's one of those things that maybe just if you know where they kind of disappear to a little bit more, whether that's sick cover or hunted cover or overlooked spots where they might bed, those are good spots to guard. But Kayla, what about you? Going back out this weekend?
I am. I'm going out Thursday as well. But I'm in the same boat Jackson is I'm not going to change up much, other than I'm probably going to sit still a little longer.
And you're not going to use the can call as much.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to use that much anymore. It sounds like a cow. I swear the cows respond to it.
I think it's just human. Cows day. Yeah, there you go. Human nature, our first experience with something oftentimes paints the picture for some time until something drastic happens. I know, Jeff, you talk about rattling quite a bit, and it's one of those things, if the first time or two you use it, nothing happens.
Yeah.
Probably just, okay, yeah. That's just an extra thing I got to carry out there. But when it does work, and it can be drastic, it can be a lot of fun. So I think one of the big things is just spending time out there. Just make sure you're out there because things are happening, and it can happen at any time. And again, we talk about it on this podcast and some of our other radio outlets and TV outlets. Sometimes your whole season changes in 30 seconds when you see that deer that you've been dreaming about, or even bigger than you can imagine being in this spot. Just boom, they're there in 30 seconds of just heart pumping, adrenaline rushing type of excitement that brings us back. And boom, best season ever because of that. So it doesn't necessarily take a lot of deer. Sometimes it just takes the right deer.
What about you, Aaron? Are you going out this weekend as well?
I will be hunting, but I won't be hunting deer. But I will tell you, since you asked, I did something completely different. I was not going to go out on Saturday. Haven't really rifle hunted for about 3 seasons now. But because of the wind you talked about, Jackson, I did try to bow hunt the last couple of days right before our November firearm season. And one day, Veterans Day, nice. It wasn't too bad. A little breezy. Not what I would, choose, but it wasn't bad compared to Friday when not only did I get into a stand that was out of the wind, but it was still blowing quite a bit. But I realized that my walk from the truck to the tree stand and then back, my tree had moved 10 yards closer to the truck by the time I got out of it because the wind had blown it so much. But it was one of those things that got there and just like, the deer don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. So off you go. But Saturday was going to be beautifully calm. Just absolutely calm. Our first really kind of chilly morning. It got down well below freezing. So I decided I got to do it. Nobody else is with me. My brother's out bird hunting. My son and daughter both had some school activities and work duties that they had to take care of. My wife was working at a deer check station as well, so I was all by myself, and I wasn't going to sleep in. So I just grabbed the public access atlas and started looking. I've got a statewide tag, so I didn't have to confine myself to a unit or anything like that. And I started looking for little itty bitty chunks of public hunting areas, looking for that spot that overlooked. It doesn't perhaps, it doesn't have a huge chunk of timber on it. It might not be 1,000 acres or even several hundred acres. I was looking for that spot that just looked like it was out by itself. And maybe nobody out there. But yet a deer could be cruising down because I wanted to make sure it had a creek or stream or something like that on it, so they had a corridor to move through. And so I kind of found a spot after I saw it sitting there by itself in the atlas in the hard copy. I went online to the satellite view and said, yep, there's a little creek running through. It's got some trees, this and that, and took off. It was a little over an hour away from the house. Beautiful sunrise. Got to hear a lot of geese honking in the distance. Got to see a few deer. Didn't have any that I wanted to take a shot at, but I had the whole place to myself. It was just, it was a relaxing hunt to say the least. But it was one of those spots. I didn't even see that many people out and about in that area. Now, a couple other public areas that I drove past in the dark on the way home, lots of trucks in there. But it just kind of showed you there are some spots out there that if you know where to look or how to look or even knock on the right doors, there's a lot of opportunities here in the state of Nebraska. You just have to be willing to go and try it. But no, I'm going to switch gears, probably chase some pheasants this weekend and do something different. And get back to deer later in the season.
That being said, I saw a lot of pheasants this weekend.
That's good.
I saw pheasants where we were hunting. I saw pheasants coming in and out of town. We saw turkeys, raccoons. So lots of raccoons. Lots of stuff out there.
Oh, it's a great time to be out there, to be quite honest with you. Like we always talk about, only 30 days in November, so make sure you enjoy each and every one of them. It only comes around once a year. All right, so what about after rifle season's over? There's a lot of people that they're done. Their deer season's already done. You guys ever bow hunt after rifle season?
Turkey.
You turkey hunt after rifle season?
No, I eat too much Thanksgiving turkey after rifle season. It makes it really difficult to hunt.
Gotcha.
To be honest with you.
Jackson, you been out?
I will be out. I'll probably go out and try to fill my archery tag between end of rifle season and muzzleloader season. Likely trying to just shoot a doe, but you really just never know what's going to show up. But I also have that new duck boat that's really calling my name.
That's going to be pulling at you.
I'd answer the call if I was you.
Yep.
That's one of those things. One of the challenges in November, right? What do I do?
Yeah.
And during 9 days, if you're a rifle hunter for deer, you're going to do that. But that's interesting. I've only gone out a few times during that Thanksgiving weekend with the bow. I've had mixed results. Sometimes it's like nothing ever happened. It's just like perfect. It's the early November season still going strong. Bucks are chasing does, especially if you can find those spots that didn't get a lot of attention during the rifle season. Yep. And other times it's just a nice sit in between holiday leftovers and all that type of stuff. But it's always good to get out. Yep. And for those that are going to try it, go for it.
Yeah, I go right back to the duck blind. I don't go back to deer hunting after firearm season. I used to, maybe 3 or 4 years ago.
You've become a waterfowl hunter.
I don't call myself a waterfowl hunter much, but I spend a lot of time in the old duck blind.
The rest of us do.
Yeah. Yeah. But we'll be back in looking for ducks and geese right after that. So
I've got a lead on a potential new spot. I haven't made the ask yet, but I've got a lead on a spot that may try to a muzzleloader hunt. So,
So there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
So-
That's fun. I can see myself in the years to come getting more into that muzzleloader hunt.
I'm
Little bit-
formulating the conversation in my head right now. And
How's it going so far? Is it a yes?
Are you
or no?
winning?
So far, it's a yes.
So far.
I got to feel confident. If you're not confident
I was
going
going to say, if
into
you're
it,
not confident, don't knock on the door. I
Yeah.
mean, you got to have confidence. Got to have confidence going up to the door.
yep.
Now, this next one, I'm going to toss this out. We don't have a lot of time to talk on this one, but this is one that we just got done talking with Jeff Clausen from our law enforcement division. He's one of the assistant division administrators over there, and he kind of brought this up as well. But this is one that I think that during rifle deer season, we hear a lot of this talked about. We hear a lot of complaints about this. We hear a lot of folks concerned about it. And talking to Jeff Clausen, it usually picks up about the middle of the week, around that Wednesday of the rifle deer season, as people are realizing, all right, didn't happen that first weekend. Here it is halfway through the season. I might have one more weekend hunt left, or maybe just Saturday, Sunday the hunt, and that's it. And that is an increase in road hunting. Now, I just want to kind of kick this around just a little bit. First and foremost, I want all the listeners out there, if you're watching us on YouTube, to realize, one, we're not condoning road hunting at all. In fact, that when you hear that word, what do you think?
It's illegal.
Well,
illegal.
let's back
immoral.
up here.
Hey,
Let's back
Wild
up here.
road hunting.
hey.
Road shooting
Yeah.
is illegal.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to toss this out there. Every single one of us here, and probably a lot of the listeners, have done something probably, and people, if they saw us, would have said, well, they're road hunting. And that's driving around slow, stopping because you think you see something interesting, and maybe even grabbing the binoculars, because who doesn't have binoculars in their truck, especially during the hunting season?
Guilty.
Because if there is a deer that, wow, I can see the antlers from here, what does that look like? What are we going to do?
Stop and look.
You're going to
Yep.
stop and look.
Yep.
Same thing with turkeys. Same thing. I've got an addiction to pheasants. And if I see a rooster in a ditch, he's got to fly. I cannot, by my religion, allow that rooster to sit in that ditch. Now, I'd never do it with a shotgun. Completely different. But as long as there's not other traffic coming and I'm not going to make a nuisance of myself, I am pulling that truck off to the side of the road, and I'm going to make them fly, which is hard to do in the spring, Jackson, and hope to hear them cackle, because it's just, that's the rush. That's the fun thing. And whether I shoot another pheasant while I'm pheasant hunting, completely irrelevant, but I just love hearing that. But I guarantee you, if somebody's sitting in those woods trying to deer hunt and they see you slow down on that road and they see you looking at a deer, guess what they think you're doing?
Road hunting.
Road hunting.
Yeah,
So-
but if you're getting out and actually flushing pheasants, it sure looks like it. It sure looks like it.
If you got no gun, it's hard
I
to
know,
look
I
like
get it.
it's
I
hard to look
understand.
like it. But that's what I'm saying is, I think this is my thought. Road shooting is illegal, but here's a pop quiz for Kayla and Jackson. Can you shoot a deer from a truck?
Yes.
Absolutely. of
Yeah,
course.
you
Legally.
can.
Yeah.
On private land, as long as it's not moving. It can be on, you can have the radio on, all that type of stuff. In fact, we probably know some folks that use that as their blind. Quite honest with you. It's a very effective blind, to be honest with you. I had a good friend who now lives in Minnesota. You know, that was the way he was able to hunt in a truck, whether it was deer or, in his case, game birds. He had to get a special permit for it, but he was only born with one arm, no legs. And so that was he was able to hunt from that.
Well,
So-
to mix it up a little bit, Jackson, the other day on Craigslist, found this beautiful blind. This guy had taken the front engine out, the whole front of the car, correct?
I want to know the story, but yeah, he basically took the whole engine out of the car and then welded like a hitch receiver or
To the
a hitch
front.
mount to the front
Yep.
of this like late model sedan, not sedan, but small
Like a-
SUV.
Yep.
Yeah, and he'd washed it for Craigslist and
Had leather seats,
yeah,
very
he
clean.
took the steering wheel
Gotta
out.
hunt in style. I mean, you don't want to hunt like a heathen. Come on now.
It was impressive.
There was even a battery that you could run the heating and cooling in the car still.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. This is a hunt blind here.
As a
Yeah,
deer hunting
he
blind.
had it marketed on Craigslist as a deer hunting blind.
And if you think about it, again, especially during harvest, during planting season, during all that type of stuff, haying season, trucks. I mean, what's the most
Everywhere.
common thing in a lot of parts of eastern Nebraska and the cropped areas especially?
Yep.
But, and this is one of those things. So how much we hear a lot of complaints about road hunting, and obviously it is illegal to shoot from your moving vehicle, and it's illegal to shoot from the roadways. You've got to be on the inside of that fence with permission to legally discharge that firearm at a deer. But how much road hunting think goes on compared to how much we think it's going on?
That's a good question.
Because
Don't give that to him. Don't. It's a question. I don't know if it's a good question. It's a question.
It is a
well, think about this, Jeff. I mean, and you can see both sides. If you're sitting up in a
absolutely.
tree stand,
Oh, absolutely.
and
That
you're wanting
truck
these
drives by
deers-
more than once. It's road hunting, by God. You don't convince me otherwise. If that truck drives by slow the first time, it might be road hunting. You're right. It's our perception. And a lot of times, how many people haven't gotten out of the tree stand? We're going to drive around the section, just see what we see.
everybody.
Because we're curious people, right?
Yes.
Want to see what's out there. Am I just missing it? It's got to be happening over the hill. No intention of doing anything illegal. Well, that wouldn't even cross your mind. But you get out and drive around. Oh, there's a nice buck. There's a stop. Get the binoculars out. You're exactly right. To every other hunter in the deer stand and everybody driving by, oh, those road hunters, And so I think there's some of that. I don't know how much, but I think there's definitely some of that.
Some of it? Well, I can guarantee you that most people, once they get down out of the tree, especially opening morning or Sunday afternoon, they get out of the tree. Very few of them, point A to point B, unless they're late to an obligation. If they know a scenic route where there might be some deer to be seen, 90% of us are taking that. And where we really expect to see it, I do it at night, so avoid deer collisions at time. Just slow down and off you go. Because, again, road hunting and road shooting are kind of...
It's true. It's different things.
I've done that many times just spring turkey hunting. You get out of the
Yes.
blind, and I
Got
want to
to.
see birds strutting, right?
Yep.
So I'll just drive around the section and drive a few sections. And you see them strutting, you stop, you get
Yep.
out, or you stay in the truck with your binoculars and go, oh, that's a beautiful tom. There's 3 toms there. That looks good. Certainly you have no intention of doing anything but watching them. But I suspect to some people it looks like, oh, yeah, that, guy's out road
definitely.
hunting. So, yeah, I can see that.
Saturday, like I said, I drove to this spot, didn't know what it looked like, walked into the dark, and I realized I walked about 400 yards, but by the time the sun started coming, I was like, holy crap, there's my truck. So every vehicle going past that could see this orange blob, and I was orange from tip of button-on cap to my shoelaces, not by design, but it was the warm clothes I had, Jackson.
Well,
But and likely there wasn't a lot of vehicles going up and down that. But the first thing I did at noon, I got out of there, got hungry, jumped in my vehicle. Like, I want to see this, what's going on here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm driving around. And of course, I've looked at it on the satellite, so I kind of know where the chunks of timber are and where the chunks of grass are and all that stuff. And I get to a point just like, I don't want to go any further this way because I'm never going to go that way anyway, even if I come back to this area and turn around. And I'm, right in front of 2 or 3 deer blinds sitting out on trailers out in the middle of corn and bean fields on this section. I guarantee, first thought I had is I'm turning around going back down this same road because I stopped and looked at them just like, well, I wouldn't have built that blind that way. I didn't see any deer, but I'm a great critique of homemade blinds. I'm sure if there was people in there, they were probably just mad at me.
Oh, sure they were.
There's that white pickup truck. He's out road hunting, and it's just human nature to do that type of stuff. And it's one of those things. Nothing wrong with it. I don't know that I'm going to stop because I'm intrigued by it. It really is. If during deer season, I want to see deer. I'm not going to shoot at them. Not going to do anything like that. But I'm stopping.
You certainly raise the sketchy alarm starts to.
Oh, yeah, he's a sketcy person. So, you just kind of, that's okay. Take it to the edge.
There's no edge. There's no edge at all. The one thing I've learned early on is you take off the orange. That helps. But most people,
Why?
they've got the vest on. I'm not hunting.
Yeah.
I'm not hunting. I'm just out enjoying the countryside. It increases. I also go back when I worked in a state park and we had a mountain lion sighting. And you talk about as soon as word got out about our mountain lion potential mountain lion sighting, guess what happened?
Everybody showed up.
Everybody with binoculars. There were traffic jams up and down this little park road, binoculars, people stopping up. Not a single one of them was, considered to be road hunting. Why? It wasn't deer season. And I think that's that idea. We're going, Jackson, you've been there. You're headed to the public marsh at 3 a.m. in the morning, and all of a sudden, it just like, there's some headlights up here in front of us on the same road. And what's the first thought?
They're duck hunters.
Yeah.
They're going to beat me to the spot.
Gotta speed up.
Yep. I do it driving down I-80. I'm like, that guy looks like a duck hunter.
He's going to my spot. He's passing me. Son of a gun. Yeah.
Jeff, nobody passes me on I-80.
I not that intense about it. I just go to my spot.
I'll never forget when I first moved here. I was going duck hunting, and it was out in the basins, and I was up early because I'd seen some ducks in this spot, and I was cruising down this gravel road, and I remember looking back at my rear view mirror, thinking, "Oh, there's some headlights back there," and that was a thought, just like, "Oh, more duck hunters head into my spot." And my thought, I told myself, "What are the chances of that? There wasn't anyone there last night. It's middle of the week and all that type of stuff." Now, in the 90 seconds that it took that guy to catch me, and he was about 1.5 miles back. I mean, you could just barely see lights and pass me. Then I started thinking, he's probably going duck hunting. And I won't say what game and park staff member I met out there, but sure enough, I pull up and the dust is still flying, all that stuff. And he was shocked to see me. He said, "Yeah, I saw your taillights and I knew I had to beat you here." Every once in a while, it's true. Yeah. And again, folks, we're by no means condoning the whole road shooting, anything illegal or anything like that.
Quite the opposite.
But it's one of those things that it's just sometimes what we think is happening and what's really happening is something you got to be cognizant of. And I'm also saying that, hey, keep that in mind when you're driving down the road. If there's other people hunting there, do what you would like to have done if you were in their situation.
So don't race them to the site, apparently. I think that's rule number one.
I don't think that's the situation we're talking about, Jeff.
That's right. That's right. Now, It's one of those things, don't stop. If you see someone up in a tree stand in Orange this weekend or sitting in a blind out there, it's not bad to look for deer and things like that, but don't just stop and just glass and glass and glass for the next 15, 20 minutes by any means, because you wouldn't want that done either. I mean, we like the idea of we're back there and we're all alone and it's us and the wildlife and all that type of stuff.
Yep.
But it is one of those things. I think it's just, again, we just assume people are doing the worst.
Yep.
And it's not. Hunting is not necessarily that, but we all love being out in nature. And if we have an excuse and it happens to be November rifle season, it's going to be November rifle season when we're able to do that. So, all right, we have gone way past time. Appreciate everyone giving us a listen. Again, make sure you subscribe, whether it's on your audio platform, YouTube, or make sure you give us a like on Hunt Nebraska, because that's where we hang out quite a bit. Until next time.
Hunt Nebraska, brought to you by your Nebraska Game and Parks Commission.